and you can go close to it and you can see the strokes, because he paints with strokes, no? And you see that stroke and you think that this stroke was made by Van Gogh himself all those many years ago. I burst out crying.
Yeah.
I started sobbing looking at those paintings, fucking two times failing your 12th standard with middle class parents looking out of the window, seeing the child coming back from the college, waiting for his result, and I'm doing this from town.
Hey, welcome to Tellis Like It Is, a show where we chat with people who are extremely special, and today is no different. We're chatting with a gentleman who makes us laugh when we watch him on television, makes us salivate when we watch him on his food shows. He's an incredible storyteller, and very, very importantly, he's a friend. I speak of a gentleman whom we'll get to know a lot better. Goes by the name of KUNAL VIJAYAKAR.
Thank you, Brian. Tellis, how are you?
I'm well. I've not said so many nice things about you.
Anybody.
In one go. Yeah.
Anybody, actually. But congratulations on your show, Tellis Like It. How did the name come about, I wonder?
See, I'm a really clever guy. If you go to see...
Because I heard the name and I couldn't decide for myself whether it was extremely clever
or extremely stupid.
Yeah. That's what.
Clever is the answer.
Clever is the answer, right.
Yeah, no, so, it's a show, like I said a little earlier, where we kind of get to know people a little better. I've had the privilege of hanging out with you.
For too many years.
Yeah, too many years. Man. It's taken its toll, but I'm supposed to say all the right things now on this show, so we won't talk about that.
Okay.
Right? But we will talk about you. We want to get to know you a little better. Right, let's kind of roll back the years, Kunal, to...
How far back do you want to go?
Preferably after you were born.
Good. Because before that, it will become pornography. That's
yes,
why.
exactly. Yeah. Which you are a master at.
Yeah, no.
But we'll save that for another show. Yeah. When you and Cyrus are together.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You just called him God?
No, I didn't. The thing is that his podcast that he does, which is it's a great podcast, I cannot watch it anymore because he talks about me about 7 times in every podcast that he does. I'm bored of myself, more than bored of watching him.
It's called deep love.
Deep love. Yeah? I think so.
I'm trying to be as decent as I possibly can.
Absolutely, yes.
No, but seriously, roll back the years. Tell us about your growing up years. Mazagon docks or thereabouts?
Yes. So my dad was a shippy, okay, and he was a marine engineer and worked at Mazagon docks. And my earliest years, that is from the age of 3 to 8, was spent at Mazagon docks, and I have extremely vivid memories of that. It's quite a wonderful place. I went back there recently because somebody knew somebody. Of course, you must remember that Mazagon docks is now a high security zone because they manufacture naval ships. But we managed to get somebody to let us into what used to be a very easy compound to walk in and out of in those days, and it's still fabulous because there are so it's got housing quarters for people who work there, and that's where we live.
Right.
It had a tennis court, it had a garden, it had a really old building, and there was the oldest building, the middle sort of Art Deco building, and there was the skyscraper. And the skyscraper, it was the tallest building we'd ever seen. It was 10 floors high.
Oh, man.
And it was, if you lived in Serene House, you were like, oh my God,
He's
you're
arrived.
up there.
Yeah.
So it was great, and it was extremely anglicized because largely the people who sort of ran the place were either Catholic, Christians, Jews, Parsis, or other sort of communities who had studied abroad and been in the Navy and that kind of. So there were dances and there were New Year balls and there was Christmas celebrated, and so it was great fun. It was just great fun.
Yeah, this stretched to Baikal as well, because I've got my grandmother, maternal grandmother and all grew up in Mazagon and Baikal.
Correct, absolutely.
And there were wonderful, like you said, social gatherings, get-togethers.
And Baikal, for people who may not know, 100 years ago was the Altamount Road of Mumbai. What Altamount Road today is to Mumbai, Baikala was where the elite lived.
True.
The governor lived there. All the rich blokes lived there. So St. Mary's School was there where I studied.
Well, you went, yeah.
Yes, correct. And so it was quite a place.
Tell us about the school life, man.
St. Mary's School. We applied to my father and my mother applied to 3 schools at that point of time. Applied to St. Mary's, we applied to Cathedral, and we applied to Campion School. St. Mary's turned out to be the most convenient because it was closest to home. We were at Masgaon and St. Mary's Baikala.
Right.
Cathedral School, we went for the interview and they kept us waiting for too long, so my father lost his mind and we walked out. But I think he knew deep inside his heart that he'd already got admission for his kid at St. Mary's. So that was that. And school was great because the school taught me everything, but I'm a very unlikely St. Mary's boy. St. Mary's boys were all hooligans, all extremely sporty.
That's right. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and look at me. I don't know how to spell sports. I don't even watch sport, forget play sport.
More like spoiled sport.
Spoiled sport is true. Spoiled sport is true. Should I say that right? Spoiled sport, yes.
It's too early in the morning for excuses on pronunciation and stuff.
Yeah, true.
That is coffee in your cup, right?
It is. And because I've given up the other alcohol.
Oh, you have? That makes 2 of us.
Completely dry. For the last 5 years, yeah. I think we just overdid the quota, lifetime quota.
Drank for 2 lifetimes.
Yeah, 2 lifetimes.
Yeah, don't flatter yourself. Yeah.
I once interviewed Dharmendra, and Dharmendra the actor, and he was legendary for the amount of drinking, at least those are the stories one heard, of the amount of drinking he did. So after we finished the intro and all that, he said, "Chalo, I'll take you to my favorite restaurant," and we went there. And I asked him, "So will you have a drink?" So he looked at me and said, मैंने अपने पूरे lifetime का quota खत्म कर दिया है. Which is the line I like to use now. I've done too much of it now.
No, that's so true. But hey, more power to you for kind of quitting it. I'm sure there's tons more clarity, in your life. I mean,
true. Besides the fact that it was extremely fattening. Alcohol is extremely fattening, man.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Look at me, I'm skin and bone.
Yeah, but you've always been skin and bones and always drunk. So I don't know how it works on me differently and you differently.
So growing up, there was no sports. I get that very clearly.
Yeah.
But, you then moved on, JJ School of Art?
So, I always liked drawing. I was always I liked drawing and I liked painting, and that was always there since my childhood. And I always say that, sometimes the bad things that happen to you in life, if you look at it in another way, could be a sort of turning point in your life, could actually lead to better things. And I'm saying this with great care because it doesn't mean that, I'll explain, okay? So when I was 8, my father died, okay? And I don't get terribly emotional about it because I was too young to remember. I mean, I remember him, but what happened when my father died is that we left Masgaon Docks because that was where he worked. And we moved to Marine Drive, Chopati, where my grandparents lived. So I now wonder, if he had not died, what would have happened to my life? Where would I have been? Because everybody in Masgaon, at least all the friends that I had over there, became shippies. They studied, like either marine engineering or deck or whatever, and then they moved and went out to sea. So if I had remained there, and from the age of 8, you can change everything in your life, What would have happened to my life? This life that I have now, which I really like, would probably never have happened. So while there is tragedy in your father dying, if you look at the other side of it, whereas my life, the way it is now, and the way I like it now, may never have happened if he had lived.
No, well said.
It's a really stupid way of saying this, but...
No, it isn't. I mean, it's looking at the half full rather than the half empty.
Yeah.
And you're on point when you say that, things sometimes happen for the better.
Yeah.
And if you have a positive outlook on everything that happens...
I'll give you a second example. I was a horrible student when it came to science subjects. So after I passed my 10th standard, because I had a little bit of art in me, I thought I'll become an architect. I wanted to do architecture. In those days, architecture required 11th and 12th science because there are maths involved and physics involved and all kind of shit. I don't know anymore, but I think at that point of time, you needed it. So what I should never have done, I did, which is I joined FYJC Science. Although my marks in science for the ICSE boards was ridiculously bad. I had some 35% or 38% science and maths marks.
Skimming the top.
Yeah, just about passing. Okay, whereas my humanities, my history, English, all those marks were really good. And yet, like a chutia, if I may say that, I decided to...
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's a word that I learned when I was a child. I decided to take science. So I scraped through my 11th standard, ducked my 12th standard, okay, then decided to reappear for all the papers all over again for the 12th standard and duck my 12th standard again.
Consistency.
Perfect, I mean, you just do it properly. Now, the question is, so that is another tragedy in your life, fucking two times failing your 12th standard with middle class parents looking out of the window, seeing the child coming back from the college, waiting for his result, and I'm doing this from down. Suppose I had passed my 12th standard. What the fuck would I have been doing? Where would I have been? I'd been doing BSc.
You would have been a NASA scientist.
You must be joking. And do I want to be a NASA scientist?
The world would be poorer for it. Yeah. The world would be poorer for it. But
so think about it like that, no? So these are the two worst things that ever happened in my life. Thankfully, God has been great and my life has been good. But these will be probably the two most stressful moments in my life, So, I just think that the bad things can turn into good things.
Well, that's a really positive way to look at stuff, and lots to learn from that. They say there's no success without failure, right? And you can let failure do two things to you. You can let it consume you, or you can learn from that failure what never to do again.
Yeah.
And so look at the brighter side.
I have a thing, I think you should just be eternally positive.
Right.
Because ups, downs are part of life. And you will fret when things suddenly, I mean, it's happened to us. So again, in a career that has been largely freelance, okay? Right. I worked for 11 years of my life with a job and I had a steady income coming, okay? Then suddenly when you decide to go freelance, because you'll be able to earn more money, but that money comes with its own caveat. No, it comes today there is work, tomorrow there is no work. Now, if you start getting depressed every time there is no work, how are you going to live?
Yeah.
So,
but that's a great view to have and a great attitude to have. Forever positive. I mean, you've had an incredible career, engineered, if I might, by passion. You've followed your heart. You've nursed your passion points and a big passion point that I used while introducing you, and I don't need to tell any of our viewers that, is your love for food and how you engineer that in everyone you come by, whether it's the viewers or whatever. And I find that incredibly fascinating.
There's a lot of right place, right time. Okay, and I'm not taking away from anything but I have never gone out and pursued anything with like hard,
Right.
I think there are people who came into my life who literally changed my sort of route. I'll tell you, simple. So after ducking 2 times, my mother and the whole family, how it is. Everyone met, big family meeting to say what is to be done with this wastrel that we have created. And somebody clever said, look, he does some art, so why don't you send him to JJ School of Art? Somebody knows somebody over there, they'll get him admission and they'll, whatever, So I managed to get into that place. JJ School of Art, or rather JJ Institute of Applied Art, is what is also called commercial art.
Right.
Is your next step is advertising. Because that's the course you do if you want to get into the art department of an advertising agency. I joined Dakuna's, Sylvester Dakuna's agency as a writer, strangely. Although I had done 5 years of art, Now, the question is this: was my art so bad that he hired me as a writer, or did he see some other potential in me? God knows. Okay, so
The latter, the latter.
yeah. So, and it changed my life. And it's not that advertising changed my life. Sylvester Dacuna changed my life. I mean, because there was theatre.
Yeah.
They were doing plays. They were, so I joined an agency. So I always loved the idea of acting. And we did the school plays, then all that shit we did. But nobody has the guts to become a theatre actor because, there's no, how are you going to live? But here I was getting a salary also. And in the evenings we went for rehearsals. And we did play after play after play. Because of him I did my first play. Then you meet Pearl Padamsee.
Yeah.
Then you meet Alec Padamsee. Then you meet whoever,
I was just going to say,
Percy Vasunia, you meet, everybody.
I mean, Alec did the same thing with the Lintas
there you go.
people back then. I mean, that's how the Avitas and all of this world happened.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's how Sham Benegal happened,
That's
literally,
right.
from advertising and
Yeah.
things. So I give him so much credit for teaching me so many things. He taught me how to write. Okay, so if I fancy myself as a good writer, it's because he told me how to think, how to structure sentences, how to use words, how to, this is literally like teaching you right from the beginning. And while he may, we may have disagreed on every creative aspect of advertising as to mentor and protege, but there was so much else that came from there,
Yeah.
Just the exposure to this whole Mumbai theatre scene was just unbelievably good.
I know.
I met my best friends. I met Cyrus because of that. I met Baman because of that. So theatre has given me everything.
Sure.
In terms of personal life and, experiences, everything.
Oh, I know. I resonate deeply with that because I have also kind of,
Correct.
had a great love for theatre and indulged in theatre, and it's exposed me like it has you to various other walks of life that you've ended up kind of, loving and making love to,
Absolutely. I mean, look at it. You stand on a stage and you got 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people audience. You go to make a presentation to somebody, those are the same talents you're going to use to pitch an idea, to stand in front of a person. If I'm standing in front of a camera and doing a food show, it's all that is coming to fore here. It's exactly that.
Sure thing.
The things
I remember an incident where, I'm taking the liberty of saying it, the late great Alec, when we were doing theatre, I was getting into Perron, and Keith had done it before that, and
Correct.
Keith was, this big
You replaced
body.
Keith
I replaced Keith as Perron in Evita.
Okay.
And I was thinking the same thing you're thinking. I mean, here's Keith Stevenson, this, big, burly, looking guy, wonderful Perron. And here I am, as you said on the top of our chat, this skin and bone kind of guy. And I asked Alec, I said, Alec, I'm feeling a little awkward, to say the least, about, understudying and playing the role of Perron because, and Alec, brilliantly said to me two things. One is, he said, characterization is not defined by your shape and size necessarily. One. And two is, he said, you are a down and dirty guy and you will make a conniving Perron. Or should I say, like Alex said, you will make a fucking conniving Perron. No, but I'm saying this because of what theatre does for you.
Yeah.
And which is why, like you are, I'm a big lover of theatre. We'll come to that. Now, I find, and most people find, your love for food and all you do around that fascinating.
So see, as I said, okay, right place, right time. I was always fond of food, hence I was always overweight. Okay, so I loved eating food. We had a very strong eating out culture even as children. My grandfather and our immediate cousins, we were a large group of 14, 15 people who went out and ate every weekend, even when we were little, So we'd go to Gaylords or Bistro or Volga or Talk of the Town or whatever those, South Mumbai Churchgate restaurants were. And we'd go for a movie, eat food, So we started eating, unlike people of my age, a lot of them. So I'm talking of what year? I'm talking of the early 70s. most middle class Maharashtrian people were probably eating only their home food. They were not really going out and eating Chinese
Right.
food. My grandmother still did not. She used to stand outside the Chinese restaurant and say they're cooking cockroaches inside. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. So
Is that where you get your genetics from?
probably, So, although she was conservative, but we were exposed to cuisines and food. And then you also realize that you cannot go and eat this food unless your grandfather or your uncle or your mother or someone takes you.
Yeah.
So you can't afford to go to Gaylord and eat yourself. So what do? What's the next best thing you do? You try to cook the food yourself. You find recipes and you see, can I make that lobster thermidor that I ate over there? I'll make it with prawn because we got prawn in the house and there's no lobster in the house. But let me see if I can recreate that taste. And that is how a little bit of interest in cooking started. But that was it. It never really went beyond that. So I would cook as a sort of, for guests and for friends and whatever else. So I've lost my track. But
No. Go ahead.
And I was already doing advertising by then. I was already liking writing, and I was writing a humor column for the Bombay Times. And Malvika Sanghvi was the editor of Bombay Times in those days. And after 3 years of writing, and I really enjoyed writing, okay? So here on one end, I'm enjoying eating food. The other end, I'm enjoying writing and advertising and comedy and theatre. So this is all happening at the same time. You can eat and enjoy theatre at the same time, so which is what I was doing. So after 2 years of writing that column, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and then give me a free hand. Whatever you want to write about. So I wrote about current affairs, I wrote about social happenings, I wrote about food, I wrote everything. And they bounced the column after Malvika left. Ayaz Memon took over, and I said, I was really, bloody hell, I want to write this. So I asked for an appointment. I went and met him at the Times of India office. And I said, look, I really like writing. I want to write this column. Why have you taken it off? So he said, look, we are shuffling our priorities and this, that, and another. Would you like to write a food column? So I said, if I can eat and if I am passionate about food, I won't say knowledgeable, I'll say passionate about food, I can write a food column. I know how to write, I like writing, and I like eating food. So I started writing, and I wrote it consistently for 3-4 years. I wrote that column, maybe more. Okay. Then 2006, when Times Now started as a channel, they were looking to do weekend programming which was not the news, which was great before Times Now became what it is now. We had such good shows, man, in 2006. You had great car shows, great food shows, everything was there. And they said, there's this guy who's comfortable in front of a camera. And by which time I'd already quit advertising. I'd quit advertising in 99. So after 11 years, I quit advertising in 99 to do television. So my whole path has gotten confused in telling you the story. But I had finished advertising. I was doing freelance television. I was acting in Hindi sitcoms. I was doing in movies, whatever. Whatever work came. I was a freelancer now. So whatever work came my way, I was doing. And they said, there's this guy who he writes for us. I was fairly recognizable by that time. I also had, I knew the original team of Times Now who started the channel, And they said, why don't we do the food show with him? He knows his food, he eats a lot, and he's comfortable in front of a camera. So that's how that show started. And that show, then it just went on. We did the show for nearly 9.5 years, which is...
I love the fact that you marry your passion, you marry your love for food to various other things as well. Reminds me of food and elections, poll curry that you did, which I found quite fascinating, where you kind of spoke to people standing for elections, but you centered it around cuisines and local food and stuff like that.
So which is an idea I've been wanting to do for a very long time, because my food show was on a news channel. And news channel has access to politicians so I said, why can't we marry this? So while I was on a news channel, they never let me do it. Okay, because they said, no, talking to politicians is the serious journalist's job, not your job. So whatever. I mean, so Arnab Goswami was whatever. I don't even want to start with and go over there right now.
We only have limited time.
Yeah, true. But so I pitched this idea to NDTV. I said, why don't we were trying to see what we could do together. And I pitched the idea and they said, damn good idea, let's try it. And we'll do it for every election, even by-elections, whatever, state elections, we'll do it, this thing. So it worked quite well. And I really had a good time doing it.
Absolutely. It worked, saying it worked well is putting it mildly. Now talking to, let's say, politicians, right? If I can generalize and call them politicians, were there moments when you were perceived, and you're a free-spirited guy, you say things like you feel it. You say things like you wish or want to say it. Did you ever get accused of taking things too far?
No. One, I don't take things too far because, let's put it this way, okay, most politicians who I have spoken to don't feel threatened by me.
Okay.
Because in their mind, I'm not a journalist in their mind. They've come to enjoy themselves with this guy. He enjoys his food. In this conversation, they will use their agenda to promote whatever their beliefs and whatever their sort of thing is, which I take it as it goes. I don't get into any political arguments or discussions with them because that is not the purpose of the show.
True.
And no, I have never, and they've been very good with me. I mean, I interviewed Rahul Gandhi, okay, for my channel, and it was fantastic because I mean I'll tell you the story. So my team and their team connected with each other, and we decided that it will be a great idea to do it. We'll do it in Delhi. We were in the middle of Ramzan, so I said, look, if I'm going to Delhi, I want to shoot in Jama Masjid. Whether it's Rahul Gandhi or not, I want to shoot in Jama Masjid. So we went to Rahul Gandhi with a plan that we will shoot in Bengali market, which is chaat waat, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then head to Jama Masjid, which is full on chicken, vikkan, nihari, vihari stuff. His security people said, you're mad or what? In the middle of Ramzan, you want to take Rahul Gandhi to Jama Masjid? You know what kind of organization we'll have to do? So I said, okay, fine. I mean, I can't fight you guys. You're saying no, it's no. So we went for a break the ice meeting with Rahul Gandhi, and so we went to his house, and he arrived, and he threw everybody out. You're the anchor? So I said, yeah, I'm the anchor. Come on, let's chat. What is this all about? He said, everybody get out. Everybody go. So there was just he and me left in a room, and we spoke about everything under the sun besides the interview. Strangely, no political conversation at all.
Oh.
Yeah. Zero political conversation. He told me about his diving and his workout and his jiu-jitsu or whatever else he does. I told him about my eating, my theatre. We talked about everything under the sun. The last 10 minutes he says, so what are we doing today? I said, I want to shoot you eating. Okay, where are we going? I said, Bengali market. And then I want to go to Jama Masjid, which your security is not allowing. So I said, no, we'll go. Karke. So we went into that, and he was fabulous, you know. He was open, friendly. He ate. My director went and said, see, Mr. Gandhi, the first shot is your introduction. Okay. I want you to take a big pani puri and feed Kunal. So he says, okay, we'll do it. So he was sporting,
he was open to...
Yeah, so he was fine. And then we took him into Jama Masjid to a restaurant called Al Jawahar, which was named after his great-grandfather, because he inaugurated the restaurant in 1945 or 7 or something, which he did not know, which was again a nice sort of thing to do.
Yeah.
And he sat there and ate like we were like old friends, dabawing like that. So it's great. I did an interview with Raj Thackeray, who used to be in class with me at JJ.
Oh.
Yeah, so I knew him, although I hadn't been in touch with him for nearly 20-25 years after having left school. He also, I mean, I'd never seen that side to him post his joining politics, you know. He was easy. So I think because they don't feel threatened, they think this is
They open up.
They open up, and it's a forum which has no agenda.
Yeah.
I want to do, I've been wanting to do, and of course, I'm not left wing, right wing. I wanted to do the BJP guys also.
Right.
Nobody's come is another story. But we've tried to get people from every part.
Or thought process or every party.
Because my thing is, again, what you're trying to do is what I'm trying to do is show people the other side of the politician.
Right. Which is so important, right?
It
Get
is
to know
because,
the person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Rather than, the party and
Correct,
or the
correct.
organization or whatever.
Or go into just ideology and that kind of thing. And so...
there are so many ways to communicate, Kunal, which you bring across in such a lovely way. Let me use the example, and I'd like for you to throw some light on it. One of the finest friendships, relationships, professional, personal, is you and that other crazy man in your life, Cyrus Brocha, right?
Okay, yes, he's crazier than I am. I'm a little more serious. He thinks I'm boring.
You're saying this because he's not around. Otherwise,
our craziness, our combined craziness was limited to two things. One is the week that wasn't.
Yes.
That a show that we did for 17 years. And the second thing is Friday nights. Okay, so that was where the craziness
started.
Was based, yeah.
But talk about the week that wasn't, because again, you said 17 years on the go.
Yeah, 17 years. So Cyrus and I met in 1990-91. We were doing a play together. See, theatre, again, it brings you together.
Yeah.
The play was nothing like Evita or anything. It was called Ali Baba and Bablu the Bear, which was a children's play. And he loves telling the story, but he's 8 years younger than I am, but he was my senior in theatre because he started acting when he was 14 years old and I came in like one old 30-year-old or whatever, 28-year-old or something. So he was auditioning me in Ryal's house, in the Padamsi horseshoe table. And then we started doing that play, and then and it's the greatest thing, we always, all of us went out after rehearsals, we drank, we ate, we were young. So it was great bonding that happened. And we did a lot of theatre together, and we became friends, and we were constantly looking for something to do together. And then this Rajdeep Sardesai, who Cyrus met in the Bombay Gymkhana bar, said, look, I'm just starting this channel, and so CNN News 18 was starting, CNN IBN in those days was starting, and I want to put together a political satire, Jon Stewart, basically, okay, with our sensibility, Jon Stewart together. So Cyrus said, yeah, we'll do it, and I'll pull in Kunal to do it as well. So then he pulled me in, and we conceived it, we wrote it, we acted in it, we directed it, we did everything, makeup also. I was doing the designs for the background and costumes and everything. So it was literally like a 2-3 man thing.
Your impersonations of characters
I had really good makeup man.
Drives me nuts.
I'll tell you honestly, they are very bad acting. Okay, it's just really bad. I think I have a face, and it's got nothing to do with my talent, which adapts easily. Yeah, I had a makeup man who was quite good at it, and if you analyze my performance, it's the same performance. Whichever character I'm playing, I'm doing the same shit. As Cyrus always says, no, you play a Bengali and it sounds like a Japanese accent. So it's no big. I think all the talent is somebody else's. It's got nothing to do with me. It's like somebody up there likes me. That's all.
No, and it's and for a reason. Yeah. And for a reason, Kunal, stop being harsh on yourself. Century of Stories, another beautiful one. Eh?
Yeah, so it's this, the key thing, and I don't think it's not like I made a concerted effort, but what I've managed to do, honestly, and what Cyrus also largely has managed to do, is remain relevant, which in today's day and age is not easy. People,
Yeah.
I have now been working I started working in 88, okay, in advertising. So 88 to, my maths is very bad. So 88 to 25, how many?
35.
35 years. Okay, 35 years. Most people start retiring. People my age and from my class have retired. Okay. This whole digital medium, it's all about, and with the grace of God, it's happened seamlessly without me having to look for it. But one thing led to another thing, led to another thing. So it's just, it's, how do you say, it's, I'm just lucky, that it has happened this way. And a Century of Stories is a little, I find it sometimes, I wish there was a little more humor in it. But I suppose I also have a serious side,
Sure.
which is which sort of comes out because we're telling stories, and India is full of stories.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many stories that need to be told, and that's how. And it's a podcast, if one calls it that.
You mentioned lucky twice, and I want to just happily debate, not debate that, but I have a point of view. You have an open mind, Kunal. You have an open mind, you're passionate about opportunities, you're passionate about who you are. And I think that's why you see opportunities that very many other people don't. And people see opportunity in working with you that they don't see with other people. I think it's an energy that you exude.
Maybe.
I mean this very seriously,
Yeah.
because to a smaller extent, I've thrown myself through my life open to opportunities, never kind
Absolutely,
of created, never polarized my thoughts beyond a point and stuff like that. I want to go to your mind and you as a person. One is, you mentioned earlier in our chat your love for art. I think I remember, I don't know where I heard it, but you collect art as well, right?
Yes, I do. I collect art. I paint.
Right.
Of course, I'm not a Goenka or a Birla to be able to buy all the masters, but I collect whatever. You go to an affordable art exhibition, you find some art, you collect it. I get inspired continuously by art. I paint. I used to paint far more regularly, but I paint off and on. And I really, and now Cyrus's wife is an artist,
Right.
Okay, and so I've got somebody right next door who I can sit and discuss art with.
Right.
So we're going through Instagram of artists and seeing what they're doing, and it's just very exciting. I just open up to art all the time. Colors, art. that kind
The modern variety?
modern variety largely, because. I mean, I love the Renaissance period and all the old periods. And you go to New York or you go to the National Gallery in London, and you see all the great artists. I'll tell you simply. So when we were growing up in JJ School of Art, the artist that we were consumed by was Van Gogh. Okay,
Right.
Because he was the perfect sort of bridge between Renaissance and then Impressionism or whatever expression or whatever ism he comes from. And the fascination about his life and the tragedy of his life and how he painted and all that kind of shit. So when I first went to Paris and went to the Musée d'Orsay, and I was walking through the gallery looking at things, and then suddenly that Van Gogh section opened up. And all those pictures that we had collected and cut, and there was no internet in those days, and you get pictures and you buy a poster and you put it up, and there's the sunflowers and you've got, starry nights and whatever else that Van Gogh painted. And you see those paintings in real life, and you can go close to it and you can see the strokes, because he paints with strokes, no? And you see that stroke and you think that this stroke was made by Van Gogh himself all those many years ago. I burst out crying.
Yeah.
I started sobbing looking at those paintings, So that is the kind of impact art can have on you. You go to Sistine Chapel,
Yeah.
and then you look up there and everything you've studied in your history of art, and you see the creation of Adam and whatever else those paintings are, and you say, you're just overwhelmed by art.
Yeah. Your mind actually, and I want to say this to you, is the way you think and the power of your mind is admirable. In fact, it reminds me of another thing that I wanted you to speak to us about. Correct me if I'm off target on numbers, but I think there was a time when you lost close to 20 kgs using, for lack of another way to say it, brain wiring?
Yeah. So look, I had put on a hell of a lot of weight. Okay, the lockdown was not very good for me mentally or physically because I was plied with food. I live alone, and we were stuck in this house, and suddenly everybody was becoming into home chefs, and they realized that if we send food to this fellow, he'll post about it. So I was being bombarded by food, and I'm so lucky that there are enough people who wanted to feed me. Okay, I never ran my kitchen ever in the whole lockdown, and every day, and people make unhealthy food. Besides the people who are making banana bread, everything else was unhealthy. And people knew through my social media that I like pork, and I like Goan food, and I like Kurgi food, and I like, so.
Yeah.
So I put on so much weight. I just put on weight. I was drinking away also. I would sit in the evenings. Yeah. Again, remember, you're stuck alone in a house. Okay. Everybody else had staff and whatever, and one wife, or even if you're fighting with your wife, at least she's there. So, however irritating the children are there, they're there.
Yeah.
Here I'm stuck alone. So I started doing this thing where I would get onto a Zoom call in the evening with a cousin of mine. 7 o'clock, he was happy to have a drink at 7 o'clock, and so was I. We'd sit together on a Zoom call, pour yourself a whiskey, and chat.
Yeah.
So about half an hour, 40 minutes, he would chat, then he'd go to his family. Then I would log on with somebody else who was willing to stay a little later on. Then once it was too late in India, I'd get in somebody in Europe who was willing to hang out with me. And everybody was at home, so everybody was willing to hang out. And I would then sit over there till about 2 in the morning, just drinking away, hammering glasses of whiskey. And I think I finished about 35 bottles of whiskey in a month or some rubbish like that, okay? So, and as I said...
Whatever you do well.
Yeah, no, do it full heart,
Yeah.
full passion, yeah?
Yeah.
And I had all those bottles that, you save that 30-year-old whiskey and 40-year-old whiskey that you saved for that one big occasion, they all fucking came out. Chalao, nikalo usko sab. And the end result was that, and I said this at the beginning, alcohol is fucking fattening.
Yeah.
I had become into this huge, I'll show you pictures, this is ridiculous, I was the fattest I ever was. Then I have a friend called Kumar Bagrodia who was trying this new therapy called NeuroLeap. And we were chatting, and I said, Kumar, I think, you have drug addicts, you have smoking addictions, you have alcoholism. I think food is my addiction. And if we can deal with it as an addiction, maybe there's a solution, because I find it impossible to diet. I find it impossible to not eat. So he says, chalo, let's try it. So he had this contraption that you put into your head and you wire it. And he'd had a lot of success with sportsmen who wanted to, the motivation up, with students, with drug addicts, with all kind of people, even politicians who wanted to be better than they are. So I tried this therapy, and I do not know whether it was purely the therapy that worked, but I had to diet. I had to start working out, walking, which I did, and I lost some 25 kilos. I lost.
Wow.
Yeah, which is very difficult to keep off, because but that gluttony went.
Yeah.
I still love my food, but I don't overeat. Occasionally I may overeat if it's the right food at the right time, but.
Yeah, some people, I have it, I know, you have a compulsive syndrome. Can't have enough of a good thing. Right?
Correct.
So you've got to be watchful. And there's a way of engineering your compulsiveness in the right areas.
Correct.
Because, when you redirect yourself or direct yourself toward the right stuff, muscle memory kicks in and it starts to get easier and easier. And then compulsiveness sets in, and then you can't have enough. Then you have a ton of the good stuff happening around you, But speaking of food.
But can I interrupt you?
Yeah,
I'll tell you
please.
what. So, what I did finally, and this is what I till today think, is portion control. I eat everything.
Moderation.
I just eat less of it because it satisfies you. You want to eat a really oily vindaloo? Have it, but only 2 pieces of meat.
No, but
Don't
that's-
eat 3 big pounds with it.
You've overcome compulsion then. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I will not eat it. I will eat it.
That's great. That's
I'm
wonderful.
not giving up any food.
What was that again?
I'm not giving up any food.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, couple of quick ones now. It's been a great chat. This is going to be a difficult one for you, I suspect, or maybe not. Your compulsion for food comes out loud and clear, not just over our chat, but what's the best spot to eat in the city?
Oh, Mama.
I knew that.
It's. I cannot answer this in one sentence because there are many great spots, okay? I think we've got some fabulous restaurants that have opened up. It will seem like I'm endorsing them, but I mean, all the old restaurants are still good, I think, okay? I think there are a lot of street joints in Mumbai that are still fabulous. Where do I start? You start at the southernmost tip of Mumbai. I still go to Martin's to eat Goan food. Okay, I still go to Olympia to eat bheja, and I do it on a regular basis. It's not like I've sort of outgrown them.
Yeah.
I still find Jafar Bhai's biryani really good. I love the table. I love Mask. I love Bombay Canteen. I love Copper Chimney. I like Gaylords. I like Gallops. So these are all the older places, And I mean, there's a lovely little restaurant. And I have a soft corner for Indian food, and I think it's the greatest cuisine in the world because there is no such thing as Indian food. It's just every region has its own cuisine. I mean, you say Mangalorean food, okay? Mangalorean, there are 5 kinds of food at Mangalore.
Sure.
So this is what so you've got Christian Mangalorean food, and you'll have
the Konkan
variety, the Udupi and
Yeah.
that area. So it's just great. And there's a lovely place in Bandra called Curry Apla, which is run by a young couple who's a Syrian Christian, and the wife's a Karwari Maharashtrian. So that they've combination, and they're separate dishes as well, which is great. I went to a restaurant in Worli, which is a municipal industrial estate in Worli, which used to be a canteen since 1967. The third generation has taken over, and they're doing GSB, like Gaud Saraswat Brahmin, Karnataka food, which is called Shenois. So you see what is happening. It's great stuff is happening food-wise.
That's great mapping, man. That's great mapping.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to start visiting restaurants a lot more than I...
You should, and try these.
Yeah.
I don't know what your palate is. I mean, what food you like. But if you really want to explore good Indian food, I think now is the time to do it. There's some really good home recipes coming out, restaurants beyond butter chicken, and which I love, of course. But I love butter chicken. I mean, biryani and butter chicken are like, my...
Like I said earlier, man, someone who speaks his mind out is you. My final question, I don't know if it's really that crazy a question, but is there a moment in front of camera, that went crazy for you? I mean, is there any incident that, camera facing, where you said stuff or you propagated stuff that was crazy?
Okay, but I don't have one incident, but there are 2 incidents I'll tell you about.
Sure.
Okay, one is on stage, and one is when I did my first television series. Not that I've done that many, I've done only 2 but 3. But when I did the first one. So stage is, I was in a play in school. It was a takeoff on Robin Hood and his merry men. And I was playing Friar Tuck. And there was a scene where all of us are sitting around the fire and eating food. Okay, and to make life simple, we had organized these hot dogs, what we call hot dogs in school, 50 paisa, keema pav it was, okay? And the canteen was run by a guy called Simon, and Simon's keema was unbelievable. You entered school at 7:45 and the whole bloody school smelled of keema, okay? But in those days, I couldn't deal with onion in my mouth. and there was a lot of onion in that keema. And I took one bite and I froze because there was just onion, just sort of overcooked onion in my, which today I love, but in those days I couldn't eat it. And I mean, and you know how kids are, no? Your friends, you're in the 8th standard or something, they're kicking you from behind, say your line, say your line, say your line. And this is one thing. And the second time is, there was a sitcom called Baat Ban Jaye, which I did. Okay, we did about 2 years of it with a very veteran Hindi cast. You know, we had Rohit Roy and Nikki Aneja and Rakhi Tandon and Ranjit, the villain, was in it. And I had been cast in it, and my Hindi was atrocious. If today you think my Hindi is bad, it was even worse then.
I was just going to question the was.
No, today it's bad. It was atrocious then. And I had, on the morning of the shoot, gotten cold feet, and I called up the producer and said, I can't do this serial. I just have no confidence. He said, no, we'll manage, you calm, don't worry. Which pretty producer on the day of the shoot is going to let one actor go?
Yeah.
So I sat there like shivering with that script. And even today, that Ranjit, who's now much older man, says, तुमको देखा था मैंने, makeup room में ऐसा बैठा था, तेरा हाथ ऐसे ऐसे हिल रहा था. I was really shitting bricks. I said, and that whole day went, I buffed up line after line after line.
Consistency
after line.
again.
Consistency. And more than muffed up lines, you lose confidence, no?
Yeah.
It's not like you're not a good actor. It's just a language. If you don't know the language, what are you going to do? So these two will always remain in my head.
I just, we could have episode 2 where we talk about all the various other stories that I'm sure you have to share. But for now, Kunal, I just want to say to you, I'm sure many have before me, that you've had a fun / inspirational journey.
Thank you.
From here, from right here. I say this, and I'm sure people watching this and otherwise will agree with me. And I'm full of gratitude for the fact that you jumped out of bed and came here to share this nonsensical kind of conversation with me. Truly appreciate it.
No, it was good fun. I mean, I'm very happy to come back here to this building itself because I've come here several times in the old days.
Yes.
It was nice to walk into Pali village and come here. You've got a great thing going. But you've also, you're older than me, I'm assuming.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes,
and you've also embraced a new medium.
Yes, I am.
Which is great. And so this is what it is,
Yeah, it is.
You've just got to keep going at what you like
resonate
doing.
deeply. I mean, I'm trying not to self-indulge, but so often while you were speaking, I was resonating with what you were saying because to a large extent, I am and did go through it myself. But yet again, thank you so much, man, Kunal.
Pleasure, Brian. Pleasure. What's for lunch?
Who's for lunch? What's for lunch?
Who's for lunch is not this. Now we will not discuss that.
But thank you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Cheers, guys.